good, everybody? Welcome to Early Edge Live, your daily sports betting brand of record. We are powered, as always, by the almighty SportsLine, the best value in all of sports betting, and it's not even close. I know what you're thinking. This has been the longest 3 days of all time, but guess what? It is over, and we have arrived at the Sweet 16 and 16 different storylines that we have ready for you right here and right now. What we're going to do over the course of the next 30 to 40 minutes, we're going to talk best bets, we're going to talk storylines, we're going to talk analysis with three of the greatest minds in handicapping in college basketball that we have in the world today. Now, as many of you know who watch the show, who watch the brand, we have many showdowns, and I want to be very clear on who you can root for at home, because we're going to give away a $100 Paramount Plus gift card today on this show for those of you who are the most active. So here's the first thing I want you to do. If you want to go with Mikey, Justin, Jay Smooth, the Maestro, whoever you want to root for in the showdown, just put it into the chat for me. Then put your Twitter handle as well. Hit that like button. Here are all of our showdowns starting tonight. Mikey and Maestro. Jay Smooth is heavily invested. And, of course, that one at the bottom. Oh, I suckered him in. I get 2 chances to win my showdown. That's next level capping by me right there. Let's bring in the stars of the show. And you know they're ready. You know they are fired up. Zip, 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 zip. Now, first and foremost, he is Mr. Energy, Chip Patterson. Good evening, sir.
Coach, M squared, Jay Smooth, minutes to tip off. And these games that we've been breaking down since our mega preview on Monday, all through the week, we finally get some answers. We've been able to analyze, reanalyze, calculate, recalculate. And I'm just fired up to talk about this one more time before we get some action.
As am I. Now, next, he lives and breathes these live shows. M Squared, live from Nashville, Tennessee. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Coach. Good evening, everybody. You know, this afternoon I was watching one of my favorite movies of all time. It's a poker movie called Rounders. Arguably one of the best gambling movies of all time. And one of my favorite lines from the movie, it made me think of you today in your showdown with Jay Smooth. The line is, it's immoral to let a sucker keep his money. And that's exactly what you did, suckering him in to that bet where he should have plus 250 on it, and he's playing it at even money. I love it.
What? I mean, it's just great. I told you it was next level. It was next level. Now, Mikey and Chip, we needed to have this show at this time, because if we waited any longer, Jay Smooth might have 12 to 16 showdowns by the time the game started. How many do you have, Jay Smooth? Like 8?
I think it's at 5 or 6 now. Yeah, it's creeping up there. I got a lot on the line tonight, but you know what? We're here to do it. I love my picks. I'm trying not to put more on the line. I just want tip off.
Oh man, Prop Stars even called me. He says, "Can I get a showdown with Jay?" I said, "Hey, easy, Alex, easy." All right, we got 4 games we got to talk about tonight, and they are in the Western region and the South region. So let's jump right in. What we're going to do is going to analyze all 4 games. I'll tell you within those games where we stand as a show, and as many of you know, but I have to reiterate this because I had another tweet today. Sometimes our guys are going to disagree. That's what happened. This is a show. We give you the information, use it to the best of your ability, and make your own selection. If we're opposite, it happens. If we all agreed, that would be no fun, and that wouldn't be true betting. All right? So here we go. First game tonight. Arkansas, the 4 seed out west. Oh, taking on the Zags. Now, all time, the worst team in the history of the NCAA tournament against number 1 seeds is the Arkansas Razorbacks. 0-10 all time. But hey, for all of you on Arkansas, that's got to make you feel pretty good. But Mikey, I want to come to you first. And the reason I do is you put out a tweet earlier today. And you're like, my thoughts on the Sweet 16, I want to know yours. And I believe it was something to the effect that 4 of these 8 games will be decided by 10 points or more. Is this one of those games for you?
This is one of those games for me. I've laid the -9.5 on this one. Simulations for me make it over 11. So we're going to start it off with a game that might feel competitive at times, but I'm looking for a double-digit win here. And I wanted to get a little aggressive and say 5 of the 8 will be double-digit wins. I said 4. We just wanted a mediocre hot take, but I truly think it'll be 5.
I think it will be too, because that's what happens in the second weekend is the better teams, they have time to prepare and they come out ready to play. So here's where we stand as a show. Mikey's on Gonzaga, Maestro and Chip and Max are on Arkansas, and Jay Smooth joins M Squared on Gonzaga. So let's go to the opposite side. Let's get a take from an Arkansas better. Chip, when I give you that stat, 0-10 all time, I know we got 9.5 points to play with here.
Yeah. That's important.
That's important. But how does that make you feel when I say that stat?
That they've been in the NCAA tournament with enough opportunities to go up against the number 1 seed. It probably reflects well on Nolan Richardson and the way that man was running things in Fayetteville back in the day. I mean, some of these number 1 opportunities might have been against like Duke, there's sides to that stat, but I do love that stat for sure. So here's what I'm excited about for Arkansas, because I do think that Arkansas, a team that ranks in the top 20 in adjusted defensive efficiency, they're going to be able to apply some real ball pressure on Gonzaga's guards. And look, Nembhard has stepped up. Rasir Bolton has stepped up. But I think that this is going to be an even tougher challenge that Arkansas is going to present in terms of the defensive side than what Memphis was able to do. And while Drew Timme was able to go into takeover mode, that is something that we are concerned about. To cover 9.5 means that Drew Timme has to go into takeover mode because the regular offense isn't running, and the regular offense isn't running because Arkansas is really making those guards uncomfortable. This is going to be a theme in a couple different matchups in the Sweet 16, where I look at everyone that Gonzaga has played, and I think about the way that JD Note and the rest of those perimeter players just are dogs and get up in your face. I think it's going to be a challenge for the Zags, and so I like Arkansas. It was so funny. We were laughing about it on Monday. I said I was standing in the face of the models, standing in the face of the sharps. I call it a Steph Curry play because he's a 40% three-point shooter. You'll always take a Steph Curry three, but will you stand in the way of the freight train that is the sharps? So I like where I'm at, because I think that there's going to be potentially by the end of the weekend, the recognition that in the NCAA tournament right now, it is about a Houston, a Baylor from last year. It's not about finesse. It's about teams that are able to really get you out of your comfort zone. And if you are one of these finesse blue bloods, or if you are rolling with a bunch of NBA talent, how does that talent respond when it really has its gut checked? So I like Arkansas. It's definitely a tenacity play. I'll be on Friday on the Cougs as well for a similar mindset, and another game later that we'll look at, where I'm just thinking there's a level of physicality, intensity on the defensive side that teams don't face all the time.
It's very, very true. It's very, very true. Now, Jay Smooth, when I come to you after everything that Chip said right there, and it was a lot, but it was all very, very smart. Now, when you talk about Drew Timme, he has tied for the most 25.10 rebound games. Make sure I get this correct. Since 1990 in the tournament, 3 times he has done this. Can you name 2 other players that did this 3 times?
Wow.
Big names. Big names.
Hakeem Olajuwon.
Big names.
Who are you talking about?
Who's
Hakeem,
the biggest
perhaps?
that ever played in the NCAA tournament?
Lou Alcindor, now Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
No, Shaq.
Yeah.
Shaq.
Okay, Shaq.
And Blake Griffin. There's several players, but those are 2 biggest names. They also did it 3 different times. It may not sound like a lot, but most players aren't in college for more than 8 to 10 tournament games at the most if they have success. Fair. So when you look at this team and you have a Drew Timme, you have all these veterans, they're looking for their 3rd straight trip to the Elite 8. They've been here before, but so has Arkansas, Jay Smooth. So who do you think it's not going to be too big of a moment for me, do you think this has the advantage for?
I think the advantage is going to be with Gonzaga. I am on them, been on them. I love this team. I think that what's going to happen here is that they're just a little bit too skilled on both sides of the ball to let in to how Arkansas wants to play, which includes getting to the line. I think that Gonzaga's ability to play defense without fouling is going to be the thorn in the side of this Arkansas team that has one of the top 10 free throw attempted rates in the country. They score a lot of their points at the line. And if they can be defended properly, early and there aren't enough calls, they might fall short of their point total or their expected point total, and that might leave enough room for Gonzaga to get this win out by double-digit points. I think they're just so effective, especially if Arkansas tries to run. You're just playing into their hands, and if you try to slow it down, you want to know what? They'll out-execute you. So it's hard for me to go against them. They are the top team analytically for a reason. I think they get this one done.
All right, very, very good. Now, my man Freddie Bear in the chat, you got to be patient, Freddie. You know I'm going to get to it. He says, what about the total? I'm coming back to M squared right now. And I got two questions for Mikey. Not just the total at 155.5, but what about the team total for Gonzaga at 81.5, taking on a team, Mikey, that we know Arkansas won't be like other teams. They won't be scared to run with Gonzaga tonight. Talk to me on those two items, please.
Yeah, so this one is super interesting. So on the total, I don't have a massive edge at this point. Now it's 156 in my sim. The source of the edge matches where I'm at on the game. So if you force me to play a total, whether it be the Gonzaga team total or the game, I would play the Gonzaga team total because I have the bigger edge. It's right on the number on the total. My bigger edge is on Gonzaga on the spread where I make them -11. So my team total for them is 83.6. That's typically not enough for me to be interested in making that play. So what I would recommend there is look again at in-game opportunities, look and see what kind of pace Arkansas is going to try to play with, and then look and see how the first 6 minutes of this game are officiated. Let's get through at least the first media timeout and see what we're looking at. Are we looking at standard rough physical play that we've seen in this tournament? A lot of these tournament games, we've seen 2 fouls called by the time that we're under the 8-minute mark, right? We're not seeing 5-6 fouls called at that point. So look for things like that. The fouls being called are certainly going to help the over in this spot. They're going to help Arkansas put enough points on the board to keep up with them. But I don't have the edge required on this game to make a pregame play on it. I would wait because this number at this number at 156, it's pretty high. They can easily get there with the pace that these teams want to play with. But what's required to play with pace is officiating that lets you play just a little bit. If they're calling a bunch of ticky-tack fouls, it's really hard to play with pace.
And you also need to make shots. And just to put all the stories out there, Arkansas, in their last game, they shot just 28% from the floor. They only scored 53 points against New Mexico State. Now, it's a different game, we know, but that was their last one. What's that, Chip?
I was just saying gross.
It's gross. Big time gross. A lot in the chat. Great Chick-fil-A nugget of the day from our SportsLine, whoever that could be behind the curtain. Gonzaga scored 81-plus points in 7 of their last 8 games. And they say, this is the dream team, but AB and Larry aren't here. Really? Or is it just Larry? Are you sure? AB isn't here? Oh, okay. All right. Very good. Keep that chat going. But the thing I don't see is I ask you at the start of the show, do you want to ride with Mikey? Do you want to ride with Chip? Do you want to ride with Jay Smooth? And I said I was going to give away a $100 Paramount Plus gift card, but you have to put the name in the chat with your Twitter handle. Nobody is doing that. Apparently, nobody wants a free $100, guys. Apparently, nobody wants a free $100 Paramount Plus gift card. I guess I'll use it. No, wait, I get it for free, so I don't have to do that. Let's move into game number 2 tonight in the South region, boys. 7:29 Eastern time. This is the one that is very, very interesting, and I'm very heavily involved with Jay Smooth. Here's where we're at as a show. Number 11, Michigan, seed in this region. Villanova, the 2 seed. Nova's laying 5. That number has stayed flat for this entire week. The total sitting at 135.5. Maestro's on Michigan. Jay Smooth, of course, is on Nova. And then Micah is on the over 135. I'll be completely candid with you. I'm with Chip. I'm done with totals. I am done with totals for the rest of this tournament. I'm just going with teams. So let me come to you, Jay Smooth, because you have a lot on the line. If Villanova doesn't cover and if Villanova loses on the court, you've got 2 ways that you've got to be rooting tonight. Your thoughts, sir?
Well, I'm pulling for them on the court already because they are my bracket champion, and I have a big leverage spot in that SportsLine bracket. If Nova can go do this, I might be able to take home first. So I'm all aboard the Nova train. My entire reputation is basically staked on this. I'm not sure I'll be allowed back on the show in the morning if they lose, or I'm not even sure if I'm going to want to show my face. But nonetheless, I'll tell you why I like them so much. They are just so complete. They have the guard play. They have the threes.
Your boy is dying over here. Your boy is just shaking his head over
Mike's
here.
enjoying himself, I'm sure. Oh
Sorry, go
man,
ahead.
but yeah, no, it's all good. It's all good. I just really look. I like Gillespie. I like Jay Wright. I think this is about coaching here. You might see a little bit of that rear its head a bit. I think Jay Wright trounces Juwan Howard when it comes to coaching. He has been here before. He knows how to defend against big guys like Hunter Dickinson. People are like shouting about him, but you want to know what? Kalkbrenner on Creighton has a better offensive rating, and they held that team to under 40 points twice this year. I'm not worried. I think that Villanova is going to come out and show you why that they should have been maybe even a number 1 this year. They didn't play great, but you know what? Perennial contender. I like my chances.
What the hell are you talking about? A number 1 seed? Oh my gosh. Are you not aware that when I throw my hat into the ring, I've got pocket aces in my back pocket? Are you not aware of that by now? As long as I'm not betting against M squared, I'm damn near undefeated. It's okay. You're not scared. You just said it. That's a quote. He's not scared. We've got it on tape. Now, Mikey, let me come to you because in the chat, David Wyckoff. David, what's good? He goes, any recommendations for a parlay for tonight? So glad you asked, David. Mikey?
I mean, my favorite parlay of the night is definitely the Gonzaga money line with the Villanova money line. It's a little juicy at minus 137. Not super juicy for a lot of people, but for me, that gets to be about the limit that I would be willing to play on it. But you can find those two at minus 137. That's where I would be on it personally. As far as this game, though, this one tricks me so much, right? Because my head, before I run the simulations, my head says, I love Villanova. They should be minus 7. That's where the number I think it should be. I run the simulations. My number comes out at 4.9. The market opened at 5. It's right where it's been. We're seeing 5 at every book except for 2. Those 2 books are looking for action on Villanova. They've put it at 4.5, minus 110. It's a really troublesome spot. My bigger edge is on the total, which is opposite of Micah on this game. I like the under in this game just because Villanova dictates pace. My simulation has it at 131. It's up to 136. That would be my strongest lean on the game. But I do think Villanova has what it takes to win. There's a big difference between winning and covering 5 or 5.5, depending on when you got it. But they have superior guard play, which I care about a lot more than anything on the interior. I don't care about size at all, personally, especially when it comes to coaching staff. But they're so comfortable playing at a very slow pace that I think that they can out-execute them. I think they have a coach team all about the guard play. But what's most important in this spot, too, is they're the best free throw shooting team in college basketball. And
historic
leadership with the coaching staff, leadership with guards, making free throws. That's how you put basketball games away that, frankly, you maybe shouldn't win. And that's why they rate so well. That's probably why Justin loves them to win the national title. I can't necessarily disagree with it, especially if they get to a defensive slow battle with Houston in the next game, potentially. So I like Villanova to win the game. I'm not laying it on the spread. I wanted to. My head wanted to so bad. But fortunately, the computer keeps me from making mistakes often. So it doesn't let me play the spread. I like them on the money line, though.
Well, apparently your model doesn't keep Jay Smooth from making mistakes every now and then. Your little puppet next to you is over here doing all these hand gestures while you're making all these great notes, like they were your notes. Now, I thought, Mikey, that you were Jay Smooth's only friend. That's what I thought for a long time. But apparently that's not the case because his other best friend, Dan, is in the chat right now, and he says, riding with Jay Smooth over Coach without a doubt.
Wow.
Oh, Dan. And then John says, I've been offering it for a long time, but nobody has signed up yet. And I think we're getting ready to. John says, Coach, we really need to start these trash talking lessons ASAP. I agree. Jay Smooth, you may want to be the first one to sign up for those. But I am not cheap, as we all know. All right, Chip, let me come to you because I've had enough. I've had enough of talking about Nova. I've had enough about 83% for the free throw. I've had enough. Tell me a reason that Michigan can not only cover the 5, but can win on the court as an 11 seed.
Because you look at the head coaches and you say, advantage Jay Wright, experience, national championships, a lot of the same reasons that we've seen the out executing that Villanova is doing at the end of these games, taking a tie game, flipping it, covering their spread before you know it, because they are getting stops and they're getting to the free throw line. Okay. So you wanted to say Jay Wright against Juwan Howard, advantage Jay Wright. Well, what if there's somebody else on Juwan Howard's bench who intimately understands what Villanova is all about. What if that is former St. Joe's coach Phil Martelli, who led this team to wins and covers while Juwan Howard was out and helped build the resume that got Michigan into the NCAA tournament? Because when I look at that, I'm like, I think Phil Martelli understands what Villanova does. I'm sure everyone's a good coach. If you've gotten a power conference job, you're fantastic, but advantage in a way that Ohio State didn't have with Chris Holtmann and his staff, advantage in a way certainly that Delaware didn't have, not to mention the other disadvantages. But I just think that if you want to start to look at this, I think the Juwan Howard, Phil Martelli combo could get this Michigan team fired up to where, you all of a sudden are sweating a 5 way more than you really want to. In that sense, I do like Mikey's play of just, listen, throw it on the money line. Villanova's going to win this game. I do think Villanova's going to win this game. 5 is a dangerous dance to play. So Phil Martelli is the reason to buy into Michigan to me.
I am so frustrated with you three right now. I need somebody to tell me that Michigan. Now, there's always one team. You guys have to agree with this. There's always one team every year that has a subpar regular season and is misseeded because of that season. I'm not saying Michigan didn't deserve an 11 seed, but we know that based off their last couple of years in the tournament, they still have a lot of players who played in the tournament. So they were kind of misseeded that way. And unfortunately for Villanova, they've got to face them in the Sweet 16 instead of perhaps in the Elite 8 or potentially down the road in the Final Four. But they meet tonight. 5 is the number, and we've got a lot of showdowns on it. Now, we still have 2 more games to get to here on our Sweet 16 Thursday preview. But I mentioned to you a $100 Paramount Plus gift card. What can you get with that? What's some of the content that you can get with that? I'm so glad you asked.
The covenant will not stop.
There is something within us. Something sacred. Something worth protecting.
Silver Team, on me.
My bad. I may have seen that promo once or twice in the last week. All right. So start listening to me. Who do you want to back? Now, all three of these said Villanova. I say Michigan. Who are you with? Throw a name into the chat for me. You never know who I'm going to pick for that $100 Paramount Plus gift card, but you got to get your Twitter handle too and hit the like button. It's very, very easy. All right, boys, let's run into our second 2 games of the night. Again, this is the West region and the South region. So the winner of Arkansas and Gonzaga will face the winner of Texas Tech and Duke. And Chip, I'm going to start with you. This is the storyline overriding every other storyline of this tournament. Don't tell me that the committee didn't want Duke to get this far. They did. Don't tell me that the committee doesn't want Duke to get the 100th career NCAA tournament win for Coach K. They do. But here's the problem. They're running into a Texas Tech team that almost nobody knows about, and they're very, very, very good. Hence, this is a pick'em. Chip, start the conversation.
Okay, so everyone thought it was going to be Tom Izzo, right? Tom Izzo, maybe future Hall of Famer. But what if the person who sends Coach K home started his career at Wayland Baptist, West Texas A&M, Texas Pan American, Howard College? I'm talking about Mark Adams, who at the age of 65, alma mater of Texas Tech, finally gets the reins after Chris Beard leaves to go to Texas, and his team plays the best defense of anybody in the country. Number 1 in the country in adjusted defensive efficiency. They come out you, and they just swarm all over the place. If you watched the end of the Notre Dame game, you saw that Texas Tech said, we're done with this. We win this game right now. And look, they didn't even make any shots to be able to do that. They were 1 for their final 10 from the field, but they were getting turnovers and they were getting stops. And it was that intensity that just took control of the game. And I think Jeremy Roach is in trouble for Duke. I think Trevor Keels is in trouble for Duke. I think Wendell Moore is in trouble for Duke. And I think that getting the ball inside to Paolo Banchero, getting the ball inside to Mark Williams is going to be difficult. And I think that Texas Tech plays at a pace that is not exactly comfortable for Duke, and half-court execution has not been great. There's no team in the ACC in the top 40 in adjusted defensive efficiency. Duke ain't played nobody like this. The ACC.
You're right. You're right.
There's no D in ACC. All right. No, the only teams in the top 50 are North Carolina and Duke, and their numbers are inflated because they just won 2 NCAA tournament games. It was just not an elite defensive conference. And I think that Duke is going to find it really difficult to score consistently. And between Kevin O'Banner, who's having a terrific NCAA tournament, between Bryson Williams, between McCullough, I think that there's enough Texas Tech offense. I mean, this is a team that beat Kansas. This is a team that beat Texas. This is a team that beat Baylor. Now, this is a team that has beat some of the best teams in the Big 12, which has proven to be one of the best conferences. I'm taking the Red Raiders.
Are you trying to tell me that giving up 90 to North Carolina on the last home game, that wasn't hardcore defense? Come on.
I'm just telling you. Like the Virginia game, was a little bit tricky, with the pace starting to slow them down. So I just, this thing is what, 1.5 all the way down to pick 'em. I mean, people are just hammering Duke because they're like, nah, refs are gonna make sure that Coach K gets it.
It sure feels that way. It sure feels that way. All right. So as a show, Chip, you're on Texas Tech clearly.
Yeah.
Mike is on the he's on the over 137, not touching that one. And then AB is also on Texas Tech. So Mikey, let me come to you because he mentioned Kevin O'Banner. How about doubles in each of his first, count them, 5 NCAA tournament games? This dude is a beast. Do you agree with Chip?
I agree with Chip in this spot. I am worried about, it's not even necessarily the narrative that they're going to get more foul calls. It's kind of a reality that they have gotten more foul calls in pretty much every game Duke has. They've gotten a favorable whistle. Texas Tech, while I love them defensively, they are not quite as disciplined as I would like them to be in terms of not fouling. The two teams that I think in this tournament, in this situation, Gonzaga and Kansas, are the teams that are playing teams that really need to get to the free throw line to win, and they don't foul. Discipline. I don't think Texas Tech is quite disciplined enough, especially when we should see some favorable whistles. So I do make Texas Tech -2.5 in this game. I haven't played it yet, and what I want to talk about quickly is there is a wide range of numbers available on this game. There are multiple sports books that are out there that have this at +1.5 for Duke right now. Others have it at -1.5 for Duke. We've seen a 3-point swing from book to book right now as these books are trying to get positions on Duke money and other things coming in late here. But it's very interesting to see that. Typically, in this situation, you would expect to just kind of see a pick 'em across the board, which is what we see at Caesars right now. But it is interesting that you can still get your +1.5, -1.5. What that tells me is if you haven't played it already, we talk about it a lot. I think this is a fantastic game to live bet because I'm very confident that either team will be up by 2 possessions at some point during this game. And whichever side you're looking to back, I ultimately am expecting a competitive 1-possession game at the end. So if you're looking at that Texas Tech line or that Duke line, either one of these teams falls down by 6 points at any point in the first 12 minutes of the game, you're getting the full possession. 3.5 is a number that you will likely see, which is way more favorable than what you're playing right now at this point in time.
For those people who are brand new to the show, what was the game last week that exact thing happened? You were live in the chat. We were watching it live. They went out to a big thing, and then we played +2.5 and won both. Which game was that?
That was the Illinois game. Yeah,
That's
Chattanooga,
right.
Illinois. Yeah,
that's right. It was +8, and then because of how the game started, Mikey tweeted out, "Take him at +2.5," and they lost by 1 or 1 by 1, 1 by 1, and so that won both bets. So, but you got to be on top of that live betting. And you got to follow my guys because they're always telling you, and the commercials are where you do it. So you got to stay on top of those commercials. Now, Jay Smooth, I apologize for the Dan joke. I apologize. So I've been holding on to this one to make up for it. So Chris in the chat says, "Let me ride with the best crew member on the early edge." Doesn't that make you feel good?
I mean, are we sure he was referring to me?
No, he's talking about
I need to see your phone and make sure you're not typing these comments on there, Justin.
Apparently, it was about the coach. I'm not typing anything, man. My hands are clean. My hands are clean.
He said the jeweler of all of our cappers. Okay. Chris is rolling with the jeweler, who is undefeated today, by the way. +165 hit earlier today. The jeweler is low key as savage. It's low key as savage. Yeah, Jay Smooth, I need your take on this game? Because you just heard him squared. You just heard my man Chip. What do you say?
I say this is the hardest game of the night to handicap. This one took me the longest to figure out, but I landed on Texas Tech on the pick'em because you can find it out there. Again, as we said, it got steamed down a little bit, but I really like this Texas Tech team, and here's why. They can create points off of turnovers. They get points in transition. They get good second chance points, and they limit second chance points, which Duke is pretty used to getting because they do have some good size down low and some good skilled players. But yeah, my big thing here is going to be how Duke plays in the mid-range. I think that's going to be the key because that is the only spot in this Texas Tech defense that I think might be a little porous. It's going to be interesting to see if they can get offensive rebounds against Texas Tech. I think right around that, the offensive rebounds and the mid-range shooting are going to be the big determiners for if Duke is going to be able to edge us out, because this is a really good Texas Tech defense and they can get out in transition and put away those easy buckets. Duke is slacking defensively. I don't know. I think this one comes out to be Texas Tech because I really like Notre Dame and they got that win. I think it's an impressive win. I think they get another win over the ACC tonight.
All right. Very good. Sean in the chat says Texas Tech struggled with Oklahoma State. Laugh emojis. If you're going to compare an NCAA tournament game to a Big 12 in-season game, you don't even know what you're talking about. You don't even know. There is no comparison. These teams are different now. They've had conference tournaments. They've had the full week, first and second round wins. Different teams now. All right, boys, we've got about 6 to 7 minutes left. We've got one game. Perfect timing. Late game, 9:59 p.m. Eastern time. Houston, the 5 seed. Arizona, the 1 seed in the South region. Arizona's laying 1.5. The total sitting at 146. This is going to be a really good game, in my opinion. Here's where we stand as a show. Jay Smooth, Micah, both on Houston, AB on the Arizona team total over 74.5. So, Jay Smooth, since you're so bullish on these Cougs, talk to me.
Yeah, let's dive into this one. What I really noticed today was how good the Cougars are when they are rested. That's because they do feature some of the best athletes in the NCAA basketball Division I world. You can argue and be correct that Arizona has better athletes, but what it comes down to is basketball prowess on top of that. And with Houston getting rested up and being able to watch the tape, I really like them to come out and show why they're here. You heard Micah talk a little bit about this on the early edge this morning. The coaching advantage is very interesting here. You have a first-year coach for Arizona versus some experience and some shirtlessness on the Houston side. So I'm really excited to see what this Cougar team can do. It's going to be a good game. These fighting Cougars have a lot of heart. They've been here before. They have the experience. I know Arizona is a little bit on the younger side. So I think that what's going to win out is the experience and the better basketball players over the better athletes. I like this Houston squad to get it done in advance.
Did you say shirtlessness?
Yeah. Shirtlessness. You saw that.
You got to put that in the handicap. The man took his shirt off.
The fact that Kelvin Sampson danced for way too long, that's something I never need to see again. I love Kelvin Sampson. When you got those little old man arms, you don't want to take your shirt off. Don't take your shirt off. Mikey, let me come to you coming off of that, because this to me is one of those games, because Arizona at times this year has been dominant. So has Gonzaga. But here in the tournament, they've been tested. But now we're starting the second weekend. And historically, the really good teams flex their muscles in their Sweet 16 games. Is this number too low for Arizona?
I personally don't think it is. I actually have Houston favored in the game in the simulations by 0.5 point. But you're right. They've looked like the best team in the country at times this year, like Gonzaga. Gonzaga and Arizona are very similar in one, I guess this is two ways kind of, but they're very similar in that they love to play with pace, but they also have a size advantage. It's rare that teams all have both of those two things, and that's why they kind of cruise through some of their competition and look so dominant at times. Where they separate themselves, though, Gonzaga is obviously more disciplined. I think they're a much better coached team than Arizona. That's where I think Arizona runs into trouble tonight with Houston. As Justin talked about, Houston is an incredibly disciplined team. They're just like a really strong version of that TCU team that just gave Arizona some trouble. And the reason they gave them some trouble is because they attack the offensive glass hard. They play with some control and some slow pace. Big contrast in style of pace to play here. Houston is basically Villanova. They're going to play incredibly slow, controlled game. They're smart. They're intelligent. They're going to grind it out. That is where Arizona got into trouble against TCU because they're so anxious to run that they're looking to run and they're not crashing the boards. They give up second chances. That is where I think that Houston can at least keep this game competitive. Now, I haven't bet it already. You've heard this. It probably gets really annoying to hear it. But Arizona is very good, and they have the better athletes. There's no doubt that Arizona will have 8 to 10-0 run at some point in this game. I think that that is incredibly likely that we see that. With a number starting at 1.5, Arizona, where they're likely to get you is with the start of the game, with the pace, when they're not tired, when they haven't been hit on, getting beat up in the paint. That's when they're likely to come out hot. I think that this number at 1.5, I'm going to be able to, again, grab it at 3.5 to all the way up to potentially 6.5 if they're up close to double digits in this game. That's where I'm interested in on Houston. So I like it pregame. I have a small edge. My model says it should be Houston -0.5. That's 2 points. If you want to do it and you're not comfortable making the other move, that is where I would lean. That's where I tell you to lean. But I'm way more interested in getting this thing to 3.5. Give me that full possession. Then we're down to what should be a one possession game, like the market says here at -1.5, and we can still cash a ticket.
And the chat is completely agreeing and loving your analysis on the live bet. Now, with that being said, there are several of you in the chat that, and this is what drives me nuts, and I know Mikey doesn't believe in trends at all, when you argue something that is historic but has no basis on this year. And several of you in the chat are saying, Duke, 28 Sweet 16s, 5 national titles, as if that's going to help this team tonight. They almost got bounced in the last game against Michigan State. They were down 7 with 4 minutes to go. They're not a national championship squad. They're just not. Now, Arizona or Houston might be. So, Chip, let me come to you because I also want you to attack the total here because Arizona, I believe, from our SportsLine account, 7 of 8, they've gone over, or 8 straight, they've gone to the over at 146. But as Mikey said, Houston likes to dictate a much slower pace. But if Arizona jumps out to a lead, then you're forced to play if you can't catch up. Where do you think this falls?
For the total, I'm leaning towards the under here. Houston's buckets, if they are coming on Arizona turnovers, means that Arizona is not scoring enough. And Arizona is not scoring to the expectations. Arizona is not scoring to what this line is saying they will score. Those are empty possessions that we were not expecting. And the turnovers is what I'm hanging my hat on because Arizona has 35 combined turnovers in its first 2 wins in the NCAA tournament. And Wright State doesn't have the talent, and TCU isn't quite as good, but Houston does what TCU does with better players. And I think that, remember how many times Tajay Moore or Jamal Shedd just took off? Picked the pocket of an Illinois guard, took it the other way, quick bucket, and you're like, oh, well, there's 2 more points. Oh, well, there's 2 more points. And there was just nothing that Illinois could do to avoid letting that game get away because of all those easy buckets. Tajay Moore, by the way, ran track in outside of Memphis, small town outside of Memphis. But that's the kind of athletes that we were talking about here. It's just these are dual sport athletes, 3 sport athletes in high school. These are track stars. These are guys that were under recruited. They might have transferred in, and they're just dogs. And I think that Arizona's sloppiness with the ball in the first 2 games could end up being their downfall. I like the Cougs. Money line plus the 1.5 if you want. I think this team's going to the Elite 8.
Wow. So all 3 of you are on Houston tonight. All 3
Let's
of them.
go.
I feel like I'm on an island all by myself. But yet, when I look at and I'm glad you brought this up, Jay Smooth, when you look at the brackets and you look at our early edge bracket, you said you have a chance to win, correct? You said that? Where do you sit currently in the bracket? What number are you at?
I believe I'm 377th currently.
Oh, 377th. Okay, yeah. I'm just a second. I got to look at mine real quick. Oh, that's right. Your boy is 8th. 8 out of 2,000. I'm 8th. And yet I'm sitting here listening to the 3 of you. Well, Mikey, I'll always listen to you. Chip, you too. Jay Smooth, though, I'm 8th. 8th.
We'll see if you won't be if Houston gets a win tonight, Coach.
So Arizona, I was just saying Arizona's 0-2 against the spread in this tournament. Historically, teams that fail to cover the spread in the first 2 games do not make deep runs. So if Arizona is your national title ticket, it ain't looking that good.
Yeah, in the first 2 games, the spread was like 20. So I don't want to hear that stat. I don't want to hear that stat, backdoor cover. So I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear it. That's exactly what it was, Chip. You know it was a backdoor cover. But all 4 of my teams are still alive. My national champions still alive. My 2 in the final game still alive. Clearly, if all 4 are still alive, they still had to be alive. Okay, you get my point. 8th, Jay Smooth. 8th. I wasn't going to say anything until you had to point it out that you could still win coming from 333rd.
Shout out to the 800 Club. We got Kansas still in the building. Jayhawks, rock chalk.
All right. Again, a reminder, tomorrow we'll be right here back live at 6 p.m. Eastern, counting down and breaking down the 4 Friday games in the Sweet 16. We do have a winner because I am a man of my word. $100 gift card goes to John Cholak, and the Twitter handle is @MegaBuddha2, @MegaBuddha2. AB will reach out to you on social media, give you all the details. Congratulations. You just won a $100 Paramount Plus gift card. Congratulations. All right, let's recap one more time our best bets and where we stand as a brand on the games tonight. AB, if you don't mind, please. Thank you very much. There are all of our cappers and all of their plays. I do not want to get a tweet. They say, you guys are opposite again. What kind of a show is this? This is a sports betting show. That's what kind of a show it is. UCLA, Arkansas, Tech from Chip. There you see the parlay I love, the Kansas part, not so much the Nova part. Gonzaga, Kansas, Houston, Jay Smooth, you see Miami, Gonzaga, all the plays there. Take a snapshot. But you know better than just to fast forward to the end of the show and take what we give you. It's all about the information. Educate, entertain. Boys, tonight's going to be a lot of fun, isn't it? It's going to be a lot of fun.
Let's go.
I like to end every single one of our live shows 15 to 20 seconds. Please, 15 to 20 seconds on what you're most looking forward to tonight. Chip, start us off.
Arkansas Gonzaga. It's my showdown of the night, and it is Jay Smooth split a lot of different ways. So in terms of the early edge family, this Arkansas Gonzaga game, it's on, baby.
It's on like Donkey Kong. Jay Smooth, talk to me.
It's got to be the Villanova Michigan game. There is just so much on the line here for me tonight. My champion is playing. I need Villanova to win this tournament just so I could be vindicated. I love this team. Let's go Nova. I gotta come out victorious tonight.
Oh my goodness, Mikey, bring us home.
I'm looking forward to the Gonzaga-Arkansas game to kick it off. I want to see a dominant win from Gonzaga. Bankroll the rest of the night for me. We're gonna have some fun. 4 amazing games tonight.
You know what I'm looking forward to? I'm so confident that Gonzaga is going to cover and win tonight that I'm going to take my son golfing, and I'm not coming back.
Night golf. Wait, no, actually, it's like 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Exactly. It's 3:30 out here. Although night golf would be fun.
You're excited about night golf. Yeah.
We have a place here, but I don't have to play there today. We're going to go in the afternoon. So I can just look at my phone and see Gonzaga up by 12, 14 in the first half, win by 22, and I'll be home in plenty of time, boys, for Arizona, the late game at 7 o'clock my time. And I will be more than happy to sit back, crack a cold one, and just love watching the Wildcats dominate Houston and those Cougars all night long. That's what I'm looking forward to tonight. We all are invested, and that's why we love doing this so much, but we can't do it without all of you at home. So with that being said, there's only one thing left to do, and you all know what that is. You've got your marching orders. Ooh, that was a big one. Let's take all of these tickets straight to the pay window. For my entire crew, I love them all. Chip, J Smooth, M Squared, and of course, AB on the ones and the twos, putting it all together. I am the coach. Wherever you land, just enjoy it. And let's all meet over that little pay window thing. But tell all your friends, you want to be included. You want to be valued. You want your voice to be heard. You want to win cold, hard cash in a gift card right here at the Early Edge. Good luck.